The Caitlin Clark Stimulus Package, also known as the newly agreed upon CBA deal. Make no mistake about it, folks. Every time the owners came to the table and said, fine, we'll increase the salary cap to this, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, fine, we'll pay for your housing again, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, shoot, we really don't want to come up off this 15% number, but you know what? We'll move a little bit. You can thank CC20.
And A'ja Wilson did not anticipate this. For the last 2 years, no one has spent their time convincing themselves that the Caitlin Clark controversy was exaggerated, that the fanfare was a media fabrication, that the numbers would ultimately drop, and that this league had true stars before Clark's arrival and would continue without all this commotion. Since the Wnba just approved the biggest collective bargaining deal in professional women's basketball history, none of them anticipated this. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 83% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So, have you subscribed already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video.
A'ja Wilson and all her Glazers could give a big thank you to Caitlin Clark for her getting paid. Ever since the league came to an agreement, all we've been hearing about is how A'ja Wilson is about to sign this historic Supermax deal like she just did it all on her own. No, you could thank Caitlin Clark for revolutionizing the game so you could get paid. We don't care how many MVPs and championships A'ja won or how she was already known. It doesn't matter. She didn't change the dynamic of the league for the players that get paid like this.
The salary cap increased from $1.5 million to $7 million. The average player salary increased from around $120,000 to over $600,000. The minimum salary surpassed $300,000. These are the kinds of figures that seasoned players in this league have been fighting for since before Caitlin Clark was in high school. Real money, revolutionary money. Clark's compensation shift from $78,066 in 2025 to $530,000 in 2026 was the first figure they displayed. The building is now on fire.
For example, 2024 Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark, who made $78,066 in 2025, is poised to see her salary jump to $530,000 in 2026. So this year, she is about to jump to that salary, okay? Now, the other jump, the new provision would also be applicable to younger stars such as Aaliyah Boston, who is max eligible in 2026, and Paige Beckers, who is max eligible in...
This is what really happened. Everyone in women's basketball knew that negotiations between the WNBA and the Players Association were imminent. The process lasted 17 months. The former CBA was a thing of the past, a framework created for a league that was struggling to stay relevant, not one that was creating broadcast rights packages that would have been laughed out of the room 5 years ago, selling out arenas in places where seats had not been filled in years, and smashing viewership records. And one person was at the heart of all that expansion, present in every significant measure and every meeting where executives were now paying attention.
Was because of Caitlin Clark's impact. All of the numbers and the metrics that the players could point to. Oh, do you see these ratings? Well, Caitlin Clark effect. Oh, do you see this attendance? Well, Caitlin Clark effect. Do you see the social media impressions? Well, Caitlin Clark effect. This is called the Caitlin Clark Stimulus Package, and it will go down.
Therefore, when the new CBA was introduced in March 2026, it included a mechanism that no one wanted to formally name after a particular individual. They referred to it as the Epic Clause, a fast-track compensation system for players who alter the league's financial situation before the expiration of their rookie contract, known as exceptional performance on initial contract. The official wording does not include Caitlin Clark's name. It did not have to. Every boardroom in women's basketball understood precisely who they were focusing on. The WNBA uses the Epic Clause to subtly and legally state in paper that no two players are alike. Certain players need separate documentation.
So this WNBA collective bargaining agreement will fast-track the ability for players on a rookie scale contract to make maximum and supermax salaries, sources told ESPN. The new provision, called Epic, exceptional performance on initial contract, allows players to renegotiate their 4-year salary and earn the standard max that the that year if they were previously an all WNBA first team or second team, or the Supermax if they won the MVP.
The only thing that tells this narrative honestly and without smoothing the edges is the figures. Therefore, let us put them on the table. Caitlin Clark, the player who sold out opposition venues in locations that had not had a full house in 10 years, the player whose name appeared on a schedule helped the WNBA surpass 1 million viewers per game for the first time since 2008, the player whose presence increased television ratings by more than all the other players in the league combined, earned $78,066 in 2025. $78,000. A mid-level paralegal makes around that amount. That is roughly the salary of an entry-level marketing coordinator who works behind a desk in a place that nobody travels to for vacation. It is not even close to what a rookie in Major League Baseball, the NBA, or the NFL would start at. Meanwhile, Clark was selling jerseys, establishing assist records, and adding cameras to women's basketball, something that had not happened in a long time. Her actions were truly unprecedented in this league. Yet the league was giving her a check insufficient to pay for 2 months of rent on a respectable Indianapolis apartment. That is not a salary. That is a league betting that its most valuable asset will not do the math. Everyone in the sports world did the math. And the new CBA represents the league's official, long overdue admission to the public that they had no choice but to comply.
What has now happened is, because of the quote-unquote epic rule, I'm going to call it the Caitlin rule, because let's be real, she was the first person to have reached this. Whether it be it's Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Paige are all eligible. I'm just going to call it the Caitlin rule. Just like the Rose rule in the NBA, we're going to call it the Caitlin rule. So, ironically, if Caitlin goes and wins MVP this year, she's actually eligible for the Supermax in 2020.
In 2026, it is no longer the case. Clark's pay increases by more than 500% to $530,000, nearly 6 times her earnings from the previous season. And take a moment before you start praising the league for finally getting it right, because that $530,000 is still the best team sports discount available today, and it is not even close. In 2025 alone, Clark earned $16.1 million, while the WNBA paid her $78,000. Pay, endorsements, public appearances, speaking engagements, business agreements, the whole enterprise. Nike, State Farm, Gatorade, Wilson, and Hyundai. She is the world's 6th highest paid female athlete. The WNBA paid her less than half of 1% of her entire salary in 2025 when her earning potential was at its highest. The league was receiving franchise-level services at a cost that no business school professor could justify without becoming physically uncomfortable. The increase to $530,000 is genuine. You are welcome. Even though it has been earned 10 times over, it still does not accurately represent Clark's true value to every sponsor, TV network, and stadium that sells out the moment her name comes on the away calendar. The raise is still undershooting. The least the league could do to avoid further humiliating itself is this.
The way the team is structured, in order for this team to remain intact, Sophie would have to be willing to take a league minimum kind of deal, which is around $300,000. And I don't see that happening. Okay. And I believe also people are going to be shocked how much money Lexi Hull is about to be offered, because I think she's going to get offered $600,000 to $700,000 by somebody. And that is going to greatly complicate things.
However, this is the point where the narrative begins to look more like a chess problem than a celebration. Because money does not appear out of thin air when Clark's salary increases from $78,000 to $530,000. It originates from a salary cap. The new salary cap for the WNBA is $7 million. The Indiana Fever need to use the full salary allocation to develop a competitive basketball squad for everyone, not just Clark. Every player from the starting lineup to the bottom of the bench must fit within that $7 million. And before any extensions, before the maximum deals, and before the summer decisions that will determine what kind of squad Indiana can truly build around her, Clark currently uses more than 7% of the cap on her contract alone. There is a term for what happens to a salary cap when 3 other key players are due extensions in the same time frame, and your franchise player finally receives fair compensation. Squeeze is that term, and the Fever is going to feel every bit of it.
They would have had Kelsey Mitchell on here, because after last season, I mean, look, Kelsey finished what, 3rd or 4th in the MVP voting? This is her contract to make as much money as she possibly can, I believe, in this league. And come next year, because I don't think that the Fever are going to be able to keep her next season. And one could argue, depending on how much you covet depth on a team, like how deep do you want your team to be? I think one could argue against re-signing Kelsey Mitchell this year.
The national media consistently undervalues Kelsey Mitchell. So, let us speak about her. She is among the league's most dangerous scoring guards. She is the Indiana Fever's second-best player, and the new CBA has made negotiating her contract at this crossroads far more costly. Before the 2025 season, Mitchell was a free agent, but Indiana used the core designation to sign her to a one-year contract. Under the new CBA, the Fever core Mitchell's salary increases to $1.4 million, a supermax contract that is ideal for a player of her caliber if they decide to make the most sensible short-term move in 2026. Additionally, it represents 20% of Indiana's $7 million cap on a single player who is not Caitlin Clark. Aaliyah Boston is also fully eligible for extension this offseason, while Clark herself is eligible for a 3-year maximum contract of $1.3 million in 2027, according to the Epic clause, which will increase to a $1.7 million supermax extension in 2028. Go carefully through those figures: $1.3 million for Clark, Boston at the $1.4 million supermax, Mitchell at the same. Over half of Indiana's entire cap is absorbed by just those 3 players, and that is before they complete the forward rotation, add a backup point guard, or develop any of the depth that distinguishes successful teams from championship contenders. The Fever front office is staring at that math. From the perspective of a $7 million budget, that is what a historic wage increase looks like.
Kelsey Mitchell to take a 1-year deal instead of a multi-year deal is due to this. Aaliyah Boston is eligible for the Supermax this year. The following year, Caitlin Clark is eligible for a Supermax, which could be worth $1.7 million, actually close to $2 million. So who are you going to invest in? Kelsey Mitchell or Caitlin Clark? And that's why I say, don't play this game, Fever. I'm talking to organizations. I'm talking to Amber Cox, Kelly Crosskoff, and definitely Stephanie White. Don't mess this up. Please, for the love of God, do not mess this up. I don't mind if Kelsey Mitchell comes back for 1 year, but 1 year only.
Every major league that has ever had a franchise player worth more than the team's entire salary cap has faced several instances of this typical squeeze in professional sports. You build a superstar, you find the centerpiece. The franchise player receives the raise she is due, a raise that is supported by every figure on every spreadsheet in the office, fueled by fans and revenue. Then the math catches up to the fantasy because the cap cannot keep everyone at market rate simultaneously. The supporting cast begins to disintegrate. Role players lose money. Depth disappears as each summer brings new contract decisions and another painful farewell. The team that was winning games with 10 excellent players and a hungry bench begins to look weaker. Clark deserves the raise. There will soon be a cap squeeze. There is no contradiction between the two things. They are two different perspectives on the same story.
Part of the mindset of just be grateful for what you have. No, we need to dive into it. We need to have better workplaces, practice facilities like this. And it's not just for the women of the league now. We're talking about the women coming up, the future. We want them to have a safe space to where they can perform at a high level and get that revenue share and to live on a salary that is what they've earned.
That's livable.
That is livable.
You don't have to go over to Europe, go to other places.
And then there is A'ja Wilson, who is always left out of any meaningful discussion about money in the WNBA. She's been named MVP 3 times. She won a gold medal at the Olympics. She has won the WNBA championship. She has the trophy cabinet to demonstrate that she is among the most decorated players in this league's history. And over the past 2 years, she has watched Clark enter and completely upend the economics of women's basketball, amassing the kind of commercial deals, national attention, and financial recognition that Wilson, despite all the accolades on her resume, has never been able to match off the court. It was hard to ignore Wilson's annoyance when Sportico released its year-end top-paid athletes report in 2025, and Clark showed up at $16.1 million while Wilson was not even included. Cryptic social media messages conveyed everything without actually saying anything. Interview responses carried just enough edge to let every journalist in the room know precisely what was left unsaid. Everyone who watched Wilson's months-long remarks about delayed accomplishment and lack of recognition knew exactly who she was talking about. For years, she has been one of this league's most vocal supporters of wage parity. Now that the new CBA, which she and all the veterans worked so hard to achieve, has arrived, the most notable news is that a player with only 2 years of professional experience has become the highest-paid player in league history. It is difficult to digest that with grace.
Wilson clearly hates Caitlin Clark. I mean, clearly. What bothered her the most was the fact that she got this popularity and she actually said it herself that she felt like history was being erased. Read the magazine. Read the article. She really hates Caitlin Clark. On top of that, the writer, whoever wrote this, hates her too, because she said, yeah, Caitlin Clark brought this toxic fanship, brought the toxicity to the league. I'm like, whoa. That's nonsense. That's straight bullshit. This league always has toxicity. Y'all just being exposed, because there was plenty of players, including Sue Bird, that said there was racism in the league. Sue Bird said it. Okay?
However, this is the fact that this league's old guard will have to accept. And even though this is entirely true, no one likes to say it outright because it sounds cold. The new CBA does not allocate funds according to longevity, loyalty, or the number of MVP awards in someone's trophy case. It allocates funds according to impact on the market. The epic clause exists because certain players alter the league's value for advertisers, broadcasters, and casual viewers who have never attended a WNBA game. And a typical rookie contract structure was never designed to account for that type of transformation. For many years, A'ja Wilson dominated this competition. She is a real person. She is fantastic. Despite being among the greatest players of all time, she has never signed a media rights contract just by being confirmed on a roster. She has never helped the WNBA surpass 1 million viewers on a Tuesday night regular season game. Despite being slated to play there, she has never sold out an opponent's arena. Clark routinely does all of those things. This is not a discussion about who is a better basketball player. This is a measurement of economic impact. And leagues that are expanding as quickly as the WNBA is now pay for economic impact before they pay for almost anything else. This league is the product of the old guard. Caitlin Clark is making money off of it. While both statements are accurate, only one of them is responsible for creating the new pay structure.
Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark, speaking from experience, players like me are going to be the ones that I think feel it the most. And that's what I think we're all super proud of, because that's what we set out from the beginning, was making sure every player felt a change in the CBA, and that's exactly what has happened. New York Liberty forward Breanna Stewart, the deal is going to be transformational. It's going to build up and help create a system where everybody's getting exactly what they deserve, and more from on the court and the off-court aspects. Just excited that we can tell our fans that we're going to be back.
This is the real outlook for the 3 years. In 2026, Clark makes $530,000, still the most undervalued contract in professional team sports. Though genuine, legitimate, and signed, this sum would still make any league that truly claimed to pay its players their worth seem foolish. In 2027, she is eligible for a maximum contract of $1.3 million. And if everything continues the way it has since the night of the 2024 WNBA draft, when 2.44 million people watched to see her selected, it would essentially signal to the entire sports world that women's basketball was now a major televised event. In 2028, she receives a $1.7 million Supermax contract that will make headlines throughout the summer. Every time you move up the pay scale, there will be a new round of reaction from throughout the league. Veterans who were underpaid for years will see a player with 2 years of experience make more money on her WNBA deal than most of them have ever earned. There will be some polite responses. Most of them will not be, but they will all make sense because Clark's rise does not reflect charity from a league that has finally developed a conscience. One player's presence is more valuable to this league's bottom line than most of the roster combined, according to a written admission found in a collective bargaining agreement negotiated over 17 months.
The Caitlin Clark stimulus package, also known as the newly agreed upon CBA deal. Make no mistake about it, folks. Every time the owners came to the table and said, fine, we'll increase the salary cap to this, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, fine, we'll pay for your housing again, you can thank Caitlin Clark. Every time the owner said, shoot, we really don't want to come up off this 15% number, but you know what? We'll move a little bit. You could thank CC22. And on the player side, the only reason why
A'ja Wilson is capable of frustration. Veterans have the right to object to the distribution. Fans may debate what constitutes fair pay while still determining its own worth. All of those discussions are reasonable and should take place. One thing, nevertheless, is no longer debatable. Nobody disputes that Caitlin Clark is valuable to this league. It is a line item in a salary structure. In a league where the total salary cap was $1.5 million just a year ago, it is now $530,000 on its way to $1.7 million. The WNBA, which once paid its most significant player the salary of a paralegal, has officially been replaced by one that is finally acknowledging what it has, even if it has become far more costly. Everyone else will have to either learn to live within that number or continue to watch it rise without them. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.